All right, everybody home. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. We are going to look at irregular solutions today and tomorrow. And what that means is that we're either going to end up with a 1, a 0, which look different, and then also all real numbers, and then no solution. So in other words, what's going to happen, and the reason I call the zeros and ones and negative ones as irregular solutions is because they look funny. You could actually make a mistake and still get to the answer. So usually I don't do zeros and ones, but I do want you to be able to look at them and see them. So here we go. I'll make that awful big. I think we'll run into the next question, but I'm going to try to make these small here. Okay, we're going to look at it. We're still going to do our 5 steps. These are equations, same thing. So we're looking at the distribute part because that's our first step. Distribute. Look at your sheet. It says distribute. So the -2 times 1 is -2. The -2 times -8 is +16. And make sure, because they have a v together, that you put the v in the answer. Then it's -7v minus 2. All that stuff that's outside of that box comes down. Easy peasy so far. Nothing has changed. This should be just like almost going to sleep. This is exactly what it is. You should know these steps left and right. Combine like terms is the next one. Cannot combine like terms. Cannot combine like terms. So we skip combine like terms. We go to the third step. Do we have an extra variable? There's a variable there. There's a variable there. So we do have one. Let's look for the lowest one. That's the better one to take. That saves us from having a negative number. So -7 is lower than lower than 16. So we're going to add 7v because we are getting rid of the extra variable. By the way, do one step at a time. And you people at home are doing 2 steps in one part. Don't do that. 1 step at a time. Our opposite operations are gone. The -7 or the -7 and the +7 are gone. We'll go over here. 16 plus 7 was that 23? V. Make sure that your V doesn't disappear as well. Bring down the -2's, and we want to make sure that we put a plus in there since 23 is positive. All right, it's already starting to look funny and people get a little weary about this one. So we distributed, there was no combined like terms, we got rid of the extra variable, now we're going to get rid of what's added or subtracted. Start covering up numbers if you don't know. If I cover up that 2, I've got 23 times V, that's the last thing. So it's the other number. Put your phone away. So it's this number, and you can see there, if I cover up 23, it's -2 plus V. So we're going to add 2 to both sides of the equation. Now, this is where people sometimes, and why it looks weird, the 23 comes down because our opposite operations are gone, but we also have an opposite operation on this side. By the way, keep everything on its side. Some of you at home are shifting things to the other side. You can't do that. We also have opposite operations here, but the thing is, there's nothing here. We have a 23 to bring down, 23V. We get rid of it, but here we don't. So what needs to come down is 0. You have to bring down that 0. If you don't, not going to get it right. All right, everybody looks at this. They get weirded out by it because there's a 0 on the left-hand side. That's okay. You still need to divide by 23. You still need to divide by 23. Why? 0 divided by 23 is 0. That's why we're doing this, because it's a weird answer. People always get freaked out by it. Not sure why, but they do. All right, so we'll look at this one, and I'm going to have to get small on this one because I got too big on the other one. Or I can just rewrite it, I suppose. Give you some time here, because we're doing this on the boards here in class. 2 minus 4p plus 36 equals -8 times all of that on the inside. See how fast that is? Write that down. Lickety split. So you're going to want to separate this. What happens on one side happens on the other side. We want to make sure that we're not getting crazy with it. Numbers shouldn't be flying around from one side to the other. Do them in your side. So first step is distribute. Well, there's the distribute part. So we're going to multiply -8 times 1, which is -8, and -8 times -5, which is 40, and they have a p together. Put the p. Some people at home and here are losing their p's. They're not doing their multiplication correctly. You got to make sure that you get that done in the appropriate manner. Bring everything else down. All those things I'm saying is what you should be saying in your head. The next step is to combine like terms. Well, there are no like terms here. We have a p and an op, and there are no like terms here. We have an op and a p. So there's no like terms. We skip the step. We go to remove the extra variable. We're removing the variable. Well, we look for a variable. There's a -4 times p and a 40 times p. We want to look for the lower one. It doesn't matter if you do take the 40, it's still going to work out because we have a negative number. But -4, I don't like negatives, so I'm going to add 4p. So if I take the lowest one, I will not have a negative number. Our opposite operations are gone. We're left with 36 equals -8, and 40 plus 4 is 44, and make sure it has the p. Don't start losing your variables. We're going to add 8 because that's the next step. Remove what's added or subtracted. You see the 8 is added, the 44 is multiplied. And what do we end up with here? We end up with 44 equals 44p. People, believe it or not, still get confused with this. You divide by 44. The opposite operations are gone. I get it. It looks like opposite operations over here, but believe it or not, 44 divided by 44 is 1. 1 times p is p. That's where that comes from. That's why I don't say they cancel, because they don't cancel over here. They don't cancel here. They become 1. 44 divided by 44 is 1. 44 divided by 44 is 1. 1 times p is p. That's where that comes from, and I can't tell you how many times I repeated that earlier on while we were learning these. So that's why these look different. We have this one that has the 0. People get lost and they leave it just like this. 0 equals 23v, and they don't actually divide by the 23, and it is 0. So it can look like that. Just follow your steps and do it. Don't worry about the numbers. Here, people get confused because they think this cancels and they put 0 here. It's not. 44 divided by 44 is 1. Same thing here. Okay? That's where this comes from. All right. The next two we're going to look at are going to be either all real numbers or no solutions. Write this down. Come on. Be quick. Separate your problem from one side to the other. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to look for distribute. Yep. There's the distribute part. We have a 1 there. So we're going to do -3 times 1, which is -3. They have an n together. We put the n. Then we'll do the other part, which is -3 times 4. That is -12. They do not have an n together, so it doesn't have an n. Bring down the equals, everything else. -7 minus 3, and 3 times n. We look for combining like terms. No terms over here combine. No terms over here combine. You cannot combine between or on or across the line. All right, we're done with the simplification process. We do go to the next step, which is remove the extra variable. And we see right there, guys, there's our two variables, -3 and -3. Well, which one's less? Neither, right? They're the same. Doesn't matter which one you choose to take. So we're going to look at adding 3n to each side. And this is where people are going to get confused, because what happens? It's gone, right? It's gone. Well, we don't put the 0 because we have a number. We have a -7 and we have a -12. We don't have to put zeros because there's a number. If there were no number, then we'd have to put a 0 in there. And it's okay to lose the variable. What does it say? -7 equals -12. Is that true? Does -7 equal -12? No, it doesn't. So what I have to put here is No solution. That means, guys, no matter what number you put in here in the original equation for n, this equation is not true. It's not equal. There's no solution. This is an invalid solution. This is an invalid equation. It doesn't work. No matter what number I choose to put in for n, it will never equal itself. It's not an equation. So there's no solution to this one. Okay? So it's okay if the variables drop. Because guess what? On the next one, guess what's going to drop? The variables are going to drop. But it's going to be a little different. Let's look for our distribute part right here. We're going to do 2 times 1, which is 2m. 2 times -3, which is -6. And bring everything else down. Uh-oh, we might have to combine like terms on this one. We go to combine like terms. Well, can we do it? Yeah, we sure can. This side you can't, but this side you can because you have 2 m's. You have an m here and an m here. So 2 plus 2 is 4m. Bring down everything outside the circles. The -6, the equals, the -6 plus 4 times m. We want to get rid of the extra variable. Well, I have 2 positive 4m's. Neither of them are less, so we just take the one. We're going to subtract 4m from both sides. Uh-oh, guess what happens? They're gone. We have -6 left here. We have -6 left here. No variable appears. You don't need to write a 0. Well, does -6 equal -6? Is that true? Does -6 equal the value of -6? That's not what I'm asking. It's a yes or no question. Does -6 equal -6? Yes, it does. So then our answer to that is all real numbers. Or infinite number of solutions can be another one. Because technically you could have imaginary numbers in here, and then this wouldn't be true. So, but for the sake of what we're doing, it's all real numbers. When you get into higher math, it would be infinite number of solutions, but all real numbers is fine. So we had 3 things we were doing today. We had ones that ended up as zeros. We ended up having our numbers collide out, and most people just cross it off and then they just leave it 23v. No, if there's no number out here, see how there's no number out here? We need to make sure that we put a 0 because it's -2 plus 2 is actually 0. That's the same thing here. That's why we don't use that word cancel. They become 0. And 0 plus 23v is 23v. All right? -2 plus 2 is 0. But then we need to divide that because 0 divided by 23 is 0. Then we looked at the ones that became a 1. We ended up having this where we had 44 equals 44p, or 44 times p. We need to divide by 44. These are gone, but they are actually 44 divided by 44 is 1. 1 times p is p. We need to do 44 divided by 44 because 44 divided by 44 is 1. They don't disappear and you put a 0. You got to make sure that you understand that. It's a 1, not a 0. We did the one that was no solution. So look up here, guys, while I'm doing this. This is important because you're going to be going through this. We went through everything. We lost the variable. But we had the -7. We brought it down. We had the -12. We brought it down. We don't put -7 plus 0 or -12 plus 0. We don't do that. Because now, -7 does not equal -12. Therefore, there is no solution. Those don't equal each other. However, if we lose the variables and they do equal each other, it's all real numbers. So that's what we're doing today. You guys at home, get started. Have a good day. Bye.